did you grow up down in the Neck District, or did you grow up in town?
I grew up in Lloyd's, which is just east of the Neck District on Richardson Road. My family had a boatyard down there, so my grandfather's Jim Richardson. Him and my father built boats.
So do you feel like the bay and the water kind of runs through your veins a little bit?
It does, definitely. There's been a connection there my entire life. When I was growing up, I didn't want to work on boats, but I think that fate played a cruel trick, and I've been working in boatyards now for 20 years.
That's awesome. So what do you think about the decline of watermen? I think that's something that I've always found quite sad, because it is part of our cultural heritage and part of our local economy as well. Have you seen the decline throughout your lifetime?
Sure. Now, when I was growing up, my grandfather's boatyard, they hauled all the skipjacks up on the railway there, and I can remember, there being 15 skipjacks tied up in the creek. Obviously, that's all done now. There's only a few, but I think the lifestyle's still there, just not as prevalent as it used to be.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a skipjack for a little bit, because I don't think we've gotten anybody talking about that. That is the Eastern Shore boat, for sure, right? Do you think it's something that we need to start bringing them back and actually using them for work boats, or do you think it's good just to have them as yachts and they look pretty?
I think it is probably unrealistic to have them as work boats, but I think that it's definitely a part of our heritage that we need to save.
For sure. All right, so what do you think we should teach our kids about the bay? Because we all, it seems to me that there's been like a generational gap of kind of apathy towards the bay in some way. Do you think we need to teach our kids to protect it?
Well, sure. I think conservation should be at the heart of all of our education. I think that I think the bay is in all of us. I maybe not at the forefront, but I think most people who live on the Eastern Shore, there's no way to escape it.
What's your favorite critter that lives on the bay? In or on or flies around?
I like the ducks and the geese that come in the fall and the wintertime. My favorite.
All right, so Jim, if you were a mad scientist and you could dream up any kind of machine or crazy animal that you could crossbreed, whatever, that would save the bay, what would it be?
I don't know if it would be a critter. That's a tough question, Cece. I think that if I had my druthers about how to save the bay, I think it would start with education in kindergarten, first grades, and not just in communities around the bay, but also communities in Pennsylvania and communities out in Garrett County and communities in the mountains of Virginia, because all that water eventually gets to the bay too. I think people around here get bludgeoned with it, but it's not really us. We're part of it, but there's a whole nother section of society that we don't think about that needs to have that education as well.
What was your experience growing up in Cambridge? I had friends that lived in Easton. I had a friend that lived in Crisfield. And growing up, all of our experiences were very different. What do you think yours was like compared to someone who maybe just sailed on the bay, living in Talbot County, wasn't connected to the working of it?
Well, like I said, I grew up in a boatyard, so all the skipjacks and all that stuff was part of my life until I went away to high school. So we didn't go in and play in Cambridge. We were at the boatyard or at home. We lived right there, so it was all part of my lifestyle.